Diane, I'm listening to a podcast, Black Lodge Trivia Night. I've never heard so many game aspirations in my life.
All right, welcome back to Black Lodge Trivia Night. This is Art, and we are here once again to get another RPG session on the books. We're down to Matt and Patrick. As you can see, they're not here. They got invited to soft launch 1587, baby. I like steak. I like soft launches in particular. In fact, that was my nickname in high school. But unfortunately, I was not invited, so you are stuck with me tonight as we do another session of Hostile. Now, again, it's been a while since I've done a Hostile solo, and if I didn't expressly state it earlier, the purpose of the solo sessions are to bridge gaps when we can't get the guys together. And it's been a while because, in a good way, we've managed to get the guys together in some capacity or another for the last couple of months. So on one hand, I apologize for the delay in between sessions of Hostile, but on the other hand, it means that the channel's been sort of humming along for a little bit. So we'll see what happens in the next couple weeks, but at least for now, it's been good. So, but we're down to Matt and Patrick. We'll get back to this. If you remember last time, we sort of just went around the horn introducing the crew by having them interact in scenes. So we had our captain, Tom Hunter. He, sat down here in the galley with May. And, he was trying to say like, hey, I know I'm young for a captain. I know I might not have the crew's confidence. We go back a little bit because they hooked up. Can I count on you for a little extra support? And she's like, yeah, if you don't fuck it up. So not really. We had another scene where I think we had Olivia and JM, was it that? Or Adea? I forget what the scenes were, but we had one with Dell and maybe that was Adea. Is she the engineer? Technician Dell, yeah. Okay, so she knows the Dark Seeker. And that's part of the thing is we sort of establish these little, like using random rolls on the tables, sort of the relationships in each direction. So I think he hung out with Olivia, yes. So Olivia, he blames her past event. She considers him a lifelong friend. They've gone back like a decade or so, not like, to kindergarten. But anyway, so that was sort of what we did. And then after that, we started on the checklist. For a shipping campaign, because that's what we're going to be doing here. We, created the 7 characters for the starship. We rolled for a mission, and we got, there's a derelict starship out there that we've got to check on. We checked, does any character have the stake in the mission? No. We selected a suitable star system as a destination. We'll get to that in a second. We don't need to randomly create colonies in the star system because, one, we have the setting book, and I've sort of filled in the map based on that. And 2, we'll get to that. I kind of pictured it as sort of an empty system, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. We assembled a crew at the starport. I don't know if we did the reaction roll, but we did do a starport encounter. And at that encounter, I'm going to pop this off so I can keep referring to it. Doc Brown and May and maybe somebody else, they went on board to gather some extra supplies now that they know that it might be a search and rescue mission on a derelict starship. And somebody on the station kind of freaked out. I think it was they thought they recognized Doc, but it was somebody they thought they recognized. It was not true. As someone who owed them money. And it started to get really intense pretty quickly. So Security Officer May stepped in and sort of controlled and subdued the assailant. Got it under control, but in the process dislocated his shoulder. So there was a little bit of a, oh shit, okay. And then they got back to the ship and, Leyland Okuda Corporation that we work for is going to have to straighten some things out. But it wasn't entirely unjustified. The guy was freaking out and becoming threatening. But Having said that, we're going to check on the maps really quickly. We've got our ship, the DSF Noctua, deep space freighter. This is the general layout. We've got top deck, middle deck, bottom deck. We also have got our hostile star map. And now, if you remember, this doesn't actually put the name of the planets. This is the names of the stars. So what we're going to do now is we're going to be starting here in the near Earth zone. It's labeled up there. So we're going to switch to that really quickly. And we're here at Hamilton. Now, Hamilton, you have this little code that I think I got this working. We can enter into here. And it's going to tell us what we needed was the B-level starport type. You're supposed to start this campaign in a B-level starport. It's good quality, refined fuel, annual maintenance. The other thing that a B starport implies is that it has an orbital docking station. I think C and below, you got to actually land on the surface. A and B, they've got some kind of connection in orbit, so you don't have to come up and down. Saves a little bit of fuel. That was the main thing we needed. So we're here at Hamilton. We're ready to take off, and we're headed toward new concessions. I remember last time I got it wrong. I thought it was going to be Fomalhaut, but it wasn't. It was new concession. But let me just check the general star map. And it ended up in the new concessions, so we're going to have a bit of a trip. But let me bring that up. And so there's a derelict starship, the Lady Luck, that went missing in 0302. We're going to say it's a Leyland Okuda ship, and that's why we're being sent. I don't know why. Serpentine's small. So it was believed that the mission, it was a small kind of freighter run. We don't know the details of the mission. From Serpentine to Congress. Now, Congress is a small garden planet. Serpentine is a desert planet. So what we're going to say, if we had to guess, and this is above the table, Frontier installation, okay. The reason why a little bit above the table is because, like I said, the crew doesn't really know what's going on, but Serpentine is a desert planet. The other one's a garden world. So what I'm going to wonder is there a resource? Got a shit starport. Feudal technocracy. Anyway, we're going to say it's a little bit of a Dune Spice kind of situation. Not literally, but yeah, Serpentine. A lot of small planets out here. Interesting. It's sort of in support of this garden world. Well, for what it's worth. But and so that was where we stopped last time. And part of why we stopped there is because I was a little hesitant to jump into the ship, the journey. A lot of the systems in Hostile Solo are pared down from the Hostile full rulebook. The ship travel, though, may be pared down, but it's still a little complex. So what we're going to do is we're going to plan our route. I'll bring this back in just so you can see. Let me see. This was the campaign checklist. So what we got to do is we have to plan the flight. How far is it to the hyperspace point? How far to the destination star system? How long will it take? How many burns do you expect to use? Will you need to refuel anywhere? Check the landing and refueling procedures. Will there be any holdups? Okay, so going through the book, the first thing we need to do is we need to go back to the actual system we're in, which is near Earth zone. Okay, now I'm going to pop this back out. Starting here at Hamilton. What we need to do is we need to get to now, if you remember, we can measure each hex is 1 parsec. That's the basic scale of the map. So what we need to do is we need to bring up the hostile star map. We're somewhere around here. We need to get around here. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's going to be about 9 parsecs. Let me get some paper out. Oh, I have to run out of paper. Okay, so 9 parsecs. Okay. So 9 parsecs. So now the question is, if we bring up our ship, let's get some stats on the ship. DSF Noctua. I don't know if I filled all this out. I don't think I did. What I do know about this ship is that it is let me see if I can bring it up in the PDF. Hostile solo rules. No, what I want is the PDFs. Did I not bring in the PDF? How did I not bring in the PDFs? These are like when I enter in the business, but these are the map notes, reference, crew expense. Okay, yeah, I guess I just put reference, hostile solo. One thing I think they fixed since we last did this is now you can resize PDFs correctly. I don't know if you remember the last one. I said it wouldn't work, so I couldn't really use it in game. Now you can, but basically what we need to do now is hardware resolution, crisis, spaceflight is what we're going to be doing. Ship types. What we have is a 30-ton. No, not a 30-ton. We have a the Noctua is it's an Argosy freighter, a colonial supply ship. That's what we need. So we're gonna get a ship type colonial freighter, 5,000 tons. So let's see if there's some info here we can enter into the ship's character sheet, because what we really need is we're going to need 2 parsecs a week. That's the main thing. So it's going to take 9 parsecs. So it's going to take us like 4.5 weeks in hyperspace. That's one of the things we need to do. I don't know. I might just enter that in notes. As far as fuel goes, we use refined. Our range is 20. Our range is 24 burns. So that's what, let's see. I'm going to put max, we'll put 24. We've used 0. So a burn, you need a certain number of burns to do certain things. If you want to leave orbit, it might be 2. If you want to, or 4, whatever, there's the chart we're going to look to. And then you have 24 burns, then you're out of fuel. M drive and J drive, I forget, man. In the rules, one of them is I think the J drive is your jump drive, so you know how many parsecs you could go. And I'm gonna put 2 just because it's 2 per week. Hopefully I can remember that. Reaction drive is 3G, so that's the M drive. Now that's going to determine how far we go in system. There's another table for that, and I should probably be marking these down instead of cargoes. See if we can enter. It's 11. We can carry 11,000 tons, so I'll put 11D tons or whatever. We actually, one thing I forgot about this is that we actually have like a small shuttle, like a Nomad. They call it a 30-ton ship boat on that shiplet type. So we'll have to remember that. Is that something you can put in the cargo, or would it be? Anyway, AI software is okay. We're gonna also put 30-ton ship boat. 30-ton shuttle, we'll call it what it is. We can have 2 parsec a week. Jump drive, 24 fuel, 24 burns. I'm just going to mark these down. Drama points. Drama points I will track. Maybe I'll track that on the mission. Trauma points, I don't know if I went into it too detailed. Like, I didn't know if I was going to use it because it's optional and it's one way you can get the aliens to show up, and I don't want the aliens to show up. But I like the idea of like a rising tension. So I might sort of use it. And basically the way it works is anytime like certain things happen, it's not a ton, like the group succeeds at a check, a mission gets carried out, you leave hyperspace, whatever it is, you add a stress point basically. And then every time you add that drama point or whatever it's called, you roll 2d6. If your total's above 14, shit happens. So obviously it's not possible for shit to happen initially, and it's extremely unlikely for a while, but that's the basic mechanic. And I'm going to ignore anything that involves like the aliens show up. So, okay, so we got that. I think I don't know where I'm getting, it's 3250, it's the cargo, not 11. So it's going to put 3250. That's the cargo. Crew passengers 8, we've got 7, so that's okay. I probably can fill this out too. Let me just see how this works. It's been a while as a whole. There's so much going on. So much going on. Everything's about to get potentially very bad. Okay, captain. Medic. The pilot was JM, I think, right? Yeah, he's the pilot. Let's get JM there. Now, I think I said at one point, like, this is a really, really good, well-made module. Security is May. So I wouldn't be surprised if by dropping these people in when you do ship rolls, it's going to refer back to the character sheet, drop in the stats you need, etc., etc. Navigator is Olivia Rubio. We're in. We've got a sensor operator is Dell, who is, you remember, an android. And an engineer. There we go. Got our crew. One of the things I really like about, when I say like a module is good, one thing I'm sure I've mentioned in some of these recordings is modability. So like the ability to add a ship position. I respect when a module not only covers what it's trying to cover really well, but it also allows flexibility for any homebrewing, tweaking, anything like that. Which again, if you've heard me talk about the Cold War spy game, I almost ran it in the Delta Green module, because Delta Green had a lot of mechanics that I liked, but it didn't have the flexibility to adjust certain things. So, okay, we got a crew in place. We can hold how many passengers? 30 passengers, and it comes with, you can see, with a ship boat. So that's all that. So we can grab 30 passengers, and we've sort of done what we can to set it up for rescue. We're going to just jam as many survivors as we can into the cargo hold, whatever it takes. We're going to do our best. But it's going to take us a while to get out there, and it seems... So, okay. Instead of saying it doesn't make any sense why they would send us when we're 4.5 weeks out for like a search and rescue, we should start to wonder, why did they choose us 4.5 weeks out for a search and rescue? See what I'm saying? So I got to get out of this mentality, because I don't know what the story is going to be. So I have to sort of flip my brain a little bit. So we're going to do space flight procedures. And so you can see we've got a Type B starport. That's great. We're in port, loading and unloading. Okay, so most commercial ships have to load and unload cargo. Here's one thing we have to do. We have to do a crisis roll. Is there any, let's see, anything that's going to jam us up? So that's going to be a D6 roll, and on a 1, we get jammed up. Oh, we get jammed up. Okay. So maybe, okay, so in the last session, our Trepid security detail, May, broke a guy's arm, dislocated his shoulder. So let's say that's gonna, repercussions from that are what's holding us up. So maybe they're like, whoa, we can't just let you like hop off the ship. Yeah, I know you're Leyland Okuda, but that doesn't mean you can just walk out of here. So let's do an admin or a loader roll to get the loading started in a half day. If that fails, try again 24 hours. Huh. Okay, so we're gonna do, it's not a loading problem, it's an admin problem. So let's see who actually, I assume is gonna be Captain Tom here. He's gonna get to be the hero for a minute. Honest, this Tom Tom Hunter. Here we go. Does he have admin? He does. Okay, so we're doing an admin roll, and I think usually the checks are like if you beat an 8. Let me double check just to make sure. Bring this back in. Let's see. Yeah, I thought it was like a really simple, you just got to beat an 8 or higher, and you're adding, and you add like your admin roll. And then if your stat is a certain level, you get like a +1 or a -1, depending on if it's really good or if it's really bad. You see all this stuff here. Anyway. So yeah, we're just gonna go, it's a task resolution. Let's just see. Task resolution right there. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. Yeah, it succeeds on a roll of 8 or higher. So let's pop this back out again. Okay, so we need an admin roll. So we're shooting for an 8 or higher. He's got a 2. His stat, what is admin's stat? I feel like admin is like a social. Now his social is 5, so it would be a -1. I was gonna say, what is he good at? He's not really good at much. I feel like admin would be like a social. Oh, maybe not. Because it seems like some of these already took that into account. I wonder what it is. Intelligence, maybe? So let's do an admin roll. Difficulty is average. And we're shooting for an 8. Let's see what it does. A 9. Does it give me an effective 3? Okay, yeah, it did. Okay. Okay, so, Tom... Tom's confidence was shaken. May did not give him the bolster he was hoping to get. He's got a lot of imposter syndrome going on. And so, he gets word that things are getting held up and that, somebody wants to go question May, and things are starting to get a little heated and complicated. He knows he's not so interested in the fact that, like, there are lives at stake. I would imagine most people, when, like, a ship breaks down in space, loses contact, especially, like, you kind of just assume they're gone on some level because there's just so many ways to die in space. But I do think he's worried about looking bad. And so anything that he's like, I need this to go smooth as silk. I can't have any jam ups. And right off the bat, he's getting jammed up. So he's like, okay, I got to take care of this. So he sort of puts his big boy pants on and tries to fake some confidence. And, he tries some bluster and he tries like, do you even know who I am? And none of that's really working. But eventually he, with the Leyland Okuda reps are there and they're like, why are we helping this guy? Blah, blah. And then finally he drops a name and it's part of his nepotistic line. Whatever it is that helped him Nepo baby his way into a captain seat. And that makes the people go, oh, okay. Oh, that hunter. Okay. Whatever they make the connection. And then they're like, okay, let's get on the phone here. And they then make the few calls they probably could have made the whole time to make this smooth out a little bit. And they were just bureaucratically lazy. But when Tom does the thing he doesn't really want to do, which is admit the nepotism, that greases the wheels a little bit and clears things up. So we only lose half a day, which is not great, but it could have been worse. We could have been jammed up for multiple days trying to get out of here. Tom looking bad. So when he gets back to the crew, he's like, okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're back on schedule. I cleared it up. He doesn't tell them how. But things are moving again. And I think the crew is like, oh, okay, all right. You know what? Like he passed his first test. They don't have to know all the details. Again, they don't know how he passed it. They don't realize that he cheated the Kobayashi Maru exam, but he got it done. And the crew kind of goes, okay, all right. But you know what? With that, because something went wrong, I don't know when you're actually, supposed to, it's a looming crisis. You're supposed to add drama points when a scene resolution roll is successful, a task resolution involving more than one person is successful, and a combat. I feel like that was a scene resolution that was successful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the mission log, and I'm going to track drama points here at the top. Now again, there's no point rolling because you have to beat a 14. And the best we could roll is a 13. So again, mission locate and salvage a derelict starship. Lady Luck, commercial ship traveling to Congress, lost signal. It's a new concession zone. Captain Tom Hunter received a mission and delegated Flight Surgeon Brown, Engineer Akande, and Security Officer Zhang to purvey medical and life support supplies. While on board Hamilton Station, a vagrant physically confronted Brown. Zhang proceeded to de-escalate, but in doing so, the vagrant suffered. So this is what happened last time, right? Forgot I typed that up. Okay, cool. So we've got a drama point going on. Great. So now that we've got everything loaded, we now need to get back to our checklist, and we need to plot. So we know it's going to take 4.5 weeks in hyperspace. So that's sort of the general. That's sort of the general thing. Okay, so we take off. Now, when you take off, I don't know if let me bring this back in. I'll bring up the table for spaceflight procedures. Here's the thing. Leave orbit for a trip to another planet. 4, decelerate and enter orbit around a planet. A gas giant. So, leave orbit. So in my mind, we're in orbit. There's travel out to a hyperspace point. In my mind, because leaving orbit for a trip to another planet costs 4 burns, I sort of read it as implied that the travel out to the hyperspace point involves leaving the orbit. So in my mind, we're going to need 4 burns to get out to orbit. On the other side, we're going to need 4 burns minimum to get from the hyperspace point to the derelict starship. Things could go wrong, but at a minimum, it's going to be 4. So that's going to be 8 burns total minimum, barring anything going wrong. So we're at 1/3 of our fuel capacity spent. So I feel like that's enough of a buffer. Like if a couple things go wrong, maybe we use half our fuel. But we should be, 8, but then we got to get back to the hyperspace point. That's going to be 12. And then on the other side, it's going to be 16 to get to a star port or something, potentially-ish. But I don't think we have to worry about refueling mid-mission. I guess that's the short. You can see here, change in orbit or vector require burns. if you fail pilot check, stuff like that. So, okay. I think we're about to have, it's early in the morning, so we're about to have like a truck go by outside. I apologize. Okay, so okay, we did the loading, unloading. We're already fueled up. Light. Okay, so we've thought about that. So here's where we are now. So hyperspace point to or from main world. So we've got to figure out how far we have to go in order to get to the hyperspace point. Now, I think it's also on the check. Travel to high. So we're going to roll 2d6. That's not great. We wanted that to be low. So it's going to be 90 million kilometers. Okay, so let's jot that down. Because then we're going to have to figure out how long it's going to take us to get out to that point. So now we need to do the 1d6. So it's sort of like a little bit of a crisis roll. On a 1, something happens. So let's do that. Okay, the trip out is fine. We've got a straight shot or whatever we need. We don't have to like tweak the adjustment. There's not a gravitational field from a planet orbit, or we don't have to worry about that. We can just without any problems, we can get out to the hyperspace point. And then from there, let's the next step is, okay, so we've got 90 million kilometers to go. And then once we get going, we're going to roll for a starship encounter. But first, let's figure out how long it's going to take. How long will it take? Okay, so our maneuver drive rating is 3, I think, right? Is that what we said? Let me just double check. I know I put it on the sheet, but I thought I said it was a 3. It's a 3. Okay. So what that means is we can go 30 million kilometers in a day. So it's going to take us 3 days to get out there. That's not as bad as I thought. 3 days to get out. And then 4.5 weeks in hyperspace. And then we'll have to figure everything out from the other side. So, so there we go. 3 days. First things first. And so, yeah, so we, we're on our way. Got the pilot. Got, I guess, sensor operator. What's Olivia? She's a technician. Yeah, we just got, people are out in the, it's the start of a mission. Everybody sort of gathers, in the bridge. Maybe Tom tries to say something slightly inspirational and doesn't quite get there. But yeah, they've sort of, I should just put everybody on everything and then just grab them from the side when we need them. Somebody's not here. And I think it's Dea, the engineer. Okay, so yeah, so, we head out. We've launched our first mission. Honestly, all things considered, it's been a bit of a success. And Tom's feeling a little bit good. We've got what they need. They've got a clear purpose. He overcame his first hurdle pretty successfully. So, yeah. So we start making our way out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just make sure I had that. It says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on that hostile star map. 5, 6, 7, 8. It's going to take 8 weeks, not 9, 8. I just wanted to double check I was counting from the right base over here. So it's going to take 8 weeks in hyperspace. Okay. So let's get back to your Earth zone. Doesn't matter where we go. It's all. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna get back to the near Earth zone. Ship's on its way. Left port. And now we roll the encounter. So did I definitely did put the encounter somewhere. I just don't know roll tables. Here we go. Space flight, ship names, interruption, hyperspace, resolution, encounter tables. Okay, so this would be space encounter. Now, did they... one of the things that they didn't work before is the ability to roll from... There's a module. Let me see if I even activated it. Manage modules. It's roll from sidebar or table or journal. Like, that doesn't work in 13 for some reason. So this is going to be a space encounter. Let's draw the result. What do we got? We got ship encounter if main world has A, B, C, D. Okay, so it's definitely that. It's a ship encounter. We've got a B level starport. So then we can go to the ship encounter, which is an A, B, C, D, or E starport. So it's this one. There's no modifiers. Oh, that was okay. So this is if you're curious how any of this works, this is a script. This is like a little macro, I should call it, not a script, that allows you to, and this is one of the beautiful things and one of the tough things about Foundry. It's so powerful if you know how to do it. And luckily the community out there is really, I don't know how to code. So I was able to somehow borrow from either the Discord or somewhere, like somehow I got the information where in order to create a macro that modifies your role, you can just create this little dialog box. And so whenever you see like this little bracket thing, that means that it's a macro. And in this case, it's allowing me to enter a die modifier if we needed it. But we're just going to roll. Oh, you know what? You need to enter a 0. Okay, so it's a heavy lift shuttle. AB star. If AB in that system, a die modifier is +2. Let me actually take a look at this table. Because now I'm starting to realize hostile solo, roll tables, encounter tables. I just want to shipping because I didn't do all the others. Ship encounter. Okay, so here's what I should have done. And we're going to re-roll it because what I should have done is I needed to add a +2 because as you can see, it sort of makes it less likely to get things on the fringe. So let me try that again. It's a 2. Okay. A modular shuttle. Okay, so we're encountering like a modular shuttle. What does that mean? So now what we can do is we can sort of like what is a modular? Because here's like ship reactions based on what it is. So modular shuttle, we're just going to call it industrial or transport. Oh, interesting. Okay. So comms are out, radio silence. So we, it's just one of those things like this is DSF Noctua, modular shuttle 319. We're giving you plenty of space. We'll keep our distance, just checking in. Because if you remember, there's sort of like this rule, and it's, you saw it in the Expanse, and it exists here, like ships are legally required to render aid. They have to. It's required. So if something's wrong, you are legally, and that's part of that's sort of part of the whole setup for like the beginning of the Expanse, I think, is like, do we report this? Do we deal with it? What do we do? I just want to see what a modular shuttle is really quickly. Get some chip types. See if it's something that's here. Yeah, in my mind, it's a shuttle, so maybe it's like a heavy shuttle of sort. I don't really know what a modular shuttle is in this particular. It doesn't really matter, but they've gone radio silent. So let's do a couple things. We're gonna do a couple of checks. I don't know. So we're back on the we're back in the bridge, and it's frustrating. You know, Captain Tom was like, "God damn it! Like things are going well," and then just why does it have to get weird right off the bat? Why can't this shuttle just acknowledge us and keep going? So comms are out or radio silence. Let's start doing some sensor checks. Our sensor operator is... I just want to see something really quickly. If I do it from the ship, what happens? We do a sensor... I thought there was a way to do a check. Maybe there's not. I thought there was a way to do a check from this bar. There are morale rules. We're gonna deal with those, I think, on some level, but anyway. Maybe it's something like if you roll it here. It doesn't really matter. I was just curious if there's I thought there was. Anywho, so let's get our sensor operator going, and I think that is Del. So Del's there, and we got a couple things we need to do. We need to get an idea. Okay, so what's working on the ship? Can we get an idea? Can we get a read of what's working on the ship? So we're going to do... I guess that'd be electronics. Barely gets it. Okay, so sum 8, effective 0, because he's got a 3 for his electronic skill. So he starts pulling it up, and Tom's like, Del, what do we got on this ship? And it's like, first of all, do we got life support? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do like a yes/no answer, but I'm only gonna make no on a 1. So is life support up? No. Oh shit. I was like, yeah, this will be fine. We're not going to have to deal with this for too long. Okay. Life support's out. Oh, shit, that's bad. Man, okay. So, yeah, so life support's out on this modular shuttle. Do we have a comms operator? I guess it's all like, is it Del? Is Del everything? I'm like, okay. So Del, I'm like, see if, comms aren't working. See if you can tell, like, are comms just not functioning? See if you can tell, or is it just nobody's there to respond? That's going to be another electronics. I don't know how we would actually determine that from the sensors. Maybe... Another 8, just barely getting by on this stuff. He's like, okay, so let's say on a 1, comms are actually out. 2 through 6, it's because there's just nobody there. Okay, so he's like, look, like the beacon, it's firing off, giving, ship details or IFF or whatever, friendly, indicator friend or foe kind of stuff. So he's like, look, there's obviously communications coming off the ship. So if they wanted to communicate, they could probably, even in a worst case scenario, jury rig something to get onto the other signals, transponder signals, whatever, and get a communication out. So there are technically ways to communicate. They're just not responding. And, he's like, judging from like temperatures inside the ship, there doesn't seem to be any heat. There's no real like heat signature coming off from the inside of the ship. So yeah. And so Tom's like, okay, let's he goes in, he's like, okay, and he's trying to, sort of putting his eyes up and, like, okay, what do we do? And it's like, going through the procedure checklist in his head, and he's like, okay, because he wanted to be over prepared. So he memorized a bunch of bullshit he didn't think he was going to need right away, just to be like, in case anything happened. It probably clouded his mind and made him more spun up than anything else. But he's like, okay, so let's call this in first of all. And Del gets on the radio. And he's like, Hamilton Central, et cetera, be advised, we've got a modular shuttle coming in. And he reads, from the transponder information. He's like, this is trajectory, this is the name of the ship, 319. It's coming in hot. We believe there is some kind of system malfunction, and there don't appear to be any survivors on board the ship. It may need to be intercepted. Just be aware. I don't know what its trajectory is, where it's going to put it. Maybe it'll just sail on by, but just be aware you've got this incoming object that might be uncontrolled. And they're like, oh, roger that. Appreciate the heads up, confirming no signs of life. And, they, double check, of course, but no, it doesn't seem to be any signs of life. And while they're doing that, let's say there's like little drones they can send out. And I'm like, Tom's like, match speed, and JM, he's like, yeah, sure. And let's do a pilot roll for this. And the reason why is because if he fails it, it's not that he's not going to be able to do it, it's just going to take a little extra fuel. So he's got a skill of 3. He wildly succeeds. So it's almost like no time lost at all. It's almost impressive. It's an effect of 4. And I should say there's actually a table. I don't know if I made it a table. But there's a thing where I should have marked down that there's a +2. I should mark down the modifiers, but there's it's in the solo book when you do a task resolution. There's a table here. It's like 4 yes and. Okay, so it's not. That's how you interpret the effects. I should pop that out somewhere. But so it's a yes and the yes and is what I just said. It's almost like you're not going to really lose any time. He's able to, it was going to take 3 days to get out to the hyperspace point. It's basically going to still take 3 days. And when they do that, let's say that Adea, she's the engineer, I believe, right? Yeah, she's the engineer. She gets onto like a remote piloted drone and, and sort of sends it out. And it's something that like the ship, the Noctua, has to, inspect its own outer hull. And let's see if she finds anything. Engineering. Yes, and. No. -1. Okay. So -1, there might be a way to still have that do something, but it's a yes but kind of thing. So let's see. Let's just make sure. Can I bring this down here? Thought I could. But hostile soul. Mine's a no but. Okay, no, but there's a positive twist. Okay, that's what it is. It's not a yes but, it's a no but. Okay. Okay, so no, she doesn't see anything. But what does she see? No, she doesn't see anything on the shuttle, but maybe as the drone is coming back, she notices like a loose panel on the Noctua and realizes like, oh shit, okay, let me at least batten that down. We don't want that flying off in hyperspace. So, so she gets to work on that, but she's not able to really determine what's going on. There doesn't seem to be necessarily an obvious like hole in the hull, anything like that. So yeah, so with that, Shuttle 319 keeps sailing on. There's no reason to try and dock with it or get it into the ship. It seems like it's already too late. Hamilton Station's going to have to deal with it, whether it intercepts it and destroys it or tries to put it out there for a salvager to jump on as fast as possible, because it's not that far out. But anyway, But it's been reported there's nothing they can do, and the crew continues on. And so we get to, let's bring up the checklist. That was our random encounter. That was our star system encounter, I should say. So 3 days go by. Did I bring up a calendar? The simple calendar stuff stopped working, I thought. So I don't know if I have it in here, but let me just mark down 3 days. And I'll see if I can figure out a way to track time. Because I can't remember if it's in here or not, but we'll figure that out. So 3 days go by, we get to the hyperspace point, and the crew gets prepped. Del make sure the ship sensors are in place, everything's 5x5. Adea make sure the ship is ready to go, the jump drives are prepped. JM, he locks in the flight path. And Doc Brown makes sure that everybody's got the proper medications and that the hyperspace and the sleep chambers are prepped and ready to go. She's doing that with Adea. Adea makes sure all the wires are plugged in correctly. And Doc Brown makes sure that it's going to keep everybody alive. And we enter hyperspace. And I think that is where we're going to stop for today. Again, it's a little bit of a shorter session. When it's a solo session, I want them to be a little shorter. Again, my voice goes quickly. I'm not looking to do 2 hours. It's tough to do 2 hours on a solo based on when I try and squeeze these in around my schedule. But I feel like this is a natural stopping point. We dealt with the repercussions from May's Aikido. Tom got to be a little bit of a hero right off the bat, so his confidence is a little bit up. And then we had our random encounter, an unfortunate, like we said, there's a million ways to die in space, and unfortunately this modular shuttle, whatever it is, encountered one of them, and Hamilton will have to take care of it, and we are on our way. So yeah, I'm hoping. Well, here's the thing. I will say this. I missed playing this, and I was about to say I hope we get back to this soon. But what that means then is that Matt and Patrick weren't around. So I don't hope, because I'd love to continue the stuff that we have going on. But it was good to get another session in, and I'll have to figure out some things like, can I track time? And what's going to happen next time is we're going to. Basically, the next session might actually get us to, it's hard to say, it might get us to where we're going. But as you can see here, one of the crew enters hypersleep, ship enters hyperspace. There's a check for a hyperspace dropout. So that's sort of like a hyperspace random encounter. I think I need to up the drama points. I think we completed another scene. And so with that, we're going to do a 2d6 roll just to get it done now. So did I make it like a macro, like a 2d6 die roll macro? Did I make it so that, okay, we rolled a 9 and it's an 11. I didn't know if I had it where you could just enter a modifier. Okay, so an 11 is not going to make anything happen with the drama. So January 20th is when we started. We lost half a day, 3 days. So it's going to be like the 24th. So let me just mark that down at least. Jan 24th. That's when like the next check-in would occur. So there we go. So that is our next session of Hostile Solo. I'm very curious to see, we got a little bit of the snippets from some of the random tables. It's like these games are only as good as their oracles and their random tables can be. So I'm really excited to put this through its paces because, as always, got Starforged ready to go, but I don't want to use it. I want to really focus on what Hostile Solo gives you in the book and make the most out of that. So anyway, hopefully, again, this won't be quite such a drought until the next session, but this is going to be, again, like I said, like when Matt and Patrick are around, we're going to do that. But this is the solo thing I'm doing for now. It's not like this disappeared, even if it takes a little while. Like whenever the next time comes up, it'll be this. I do promise you that. So anyway, thanks again for checking this out. If you're watching this, you found our YouTube channel, like and subscribe if that's your thing. If you prefer audio versions of our actual plays or RPG discussion podcast, whatever, just search for Black Lodge Trivia Night wherever you get your podcasts. We should show up. We've got a Discord if you want to jump in, talk about RPGs, CRPGs, whatever you like. But yeah, otherwise, we always really appreciate everybody who checks this stuff out. We continue to have a blast. Things might be about to get weird schedule-wise, but we'll see how things hold up. So thanks again to everybody. Take care. The in-session music was provided by Tabletop RPG Music and composed by Ian Fisher. You can find the Patreon at www.patreon.com/tabletop RPG music. That's all one word.